Okay, in this video we're just going to talk about the availability of the HLG profile across different shooting modes on the Panasonic Lumix cameras. And this does vary across different cameras, and it's more apparent on some cameras than others. And I'm just going to kind of show it on the GH6. I'm shooting on the GH5, which, like I say, it has slightly different options, and I'll sort of try and explain why that is, and we'll just kind of run through it. But as a kind of preface to this, I kind of did a HLG video, which I'll link to up in the corner, and that kind of explains what the profile is, what it's for, why you might use it. But this is really just as to like where it's available. So what we'll do is we'll just jump into the camera, and I won't go through every single profile because there are loads on this and that would just be crazy. But basically what I'll say is in MOV and ProRes on the Panasonic GH6 and the GH7, you're going to be able to use HLG in every single format. If you don't know the menu I'm looking at, this is just the Q menu, slightly customized. I'll link up how you can kind of do that. But essentially you can see here we've got the HLG, and that will just be available, like I say, for every single MOV and ProRes option throughout the GH6 and GH7. But when we come into, sorry, it's a bit hard to control at this angle, MP4, and then we come back, you'll notice if we come over to here, we're kind of like dropped one option from here, and that option is HLG. So if we come back again and we go to 4K, you can see it's back there. So it's available in some of them, but it's not available in others. And the reason for that is because the standard for HLG is that it's supposed to be 10-bit. And the GH6 and the GH7 being mostly 10-bit cameras, we've literally just got, I think this varies over system frequency. I think there's 3 in PAL and 4 in NTSC. But I'll link a video about system frequency. But essentially, in here I've got, we've got 1, 2, 3, so 4-bit 25, full HD 50 and full HD 25. These are all 8-bit shooting options. So those 8-bit ones are not going to have HLG support. So that is just kind of how it works. And it becomes a bit more apparent on the GH5, G9, those older cameras, because there were quite big discrepancies in, say, the original GH5, for example, at 4K 50 or 4K 60, again, depending on what you shoot. That was actually 8-bit, which means HLG was not available in that option. Whereas if you shot 4K 25 or 4K 30 respectively, or 24, you could use HLG because that was a 10-bit mode. So it becomes very apparent in that, because they're basically the top line features in it. A lot of people do shoot 4K like standard and 4K slightly higher frame rate and mix between the two. So like I say, on the GH6, GH7, it's really not a big deal because you'll very likely be using the MOV mode, or you'll be using ProRes. But if you do drop down into those MP4 options, just kind of know that is where those limitations lie. Like I say, on the GH5, G9, older cameras, like I say, it completely varies across different cameras. Most of the newer cameras now shoot mostly 10-bit, but the older ones do have a lot of 8-bit kind of profiles. But the other way, if you're looking to kind of match across cameras, would be to use Vlog. But obviously for older cameras like the GH5, G9, etc., you'll need the Vlog unlock key, so you could use Vlog and you could do it all that way. But yeah, or use a different profile that matches. You've got natural, Cine D, there's loads of profiles that you can match it with. But if you're specifically looking to output like that, then Vlog is probably your most flexible kind of option. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful, and that just gives you like a bit of an idea of it. So yeah, the kind of the top line takeaway is basically that the HLG format was specifically made to, the requirement for it is that it's supposed to have a 10-bit kind of bit depth. So it's not really a Lumix thing, it's more of like a HLG standard thing. So that's kind of why that is like that, because those 8-bit video modes just don't kind of meet that requirement. But yeah, hopefully you found that helpful. If you have, give the video a like. If you want to see more kind of Lumix tutorials, check out the playlist at the end of this video, and please subscribe.